Hi, today's video is another home series video. I'm going to be showing you how I took my old IKEA TV stand and created a more mid-century modern piece of furniture. So this project actually started back in July and I am just now finishing it and it is November. Now there's some reasons why it has taken me so long to finish this project, and the first one is that I was moving during it, and the second one is that some of the items that I ordered to finish this project have been on back order and they have quite literally just now come in. So I'm gonna walk you through the creative process of how I chose and kind of how I created the TV stand of my dream. So the first part is that I researched what I liked in TV stands. So I was on Pinterest and just scouring the internet for pieces that really resonated with me, and I found that I was drawn a lot to these more mid-century modern pieces of furniture. Something with a darker stain, something that looks very natural but still has that classic mid-century modern vibe to it. I then looked at what material my current TV stand is, and me and my fiance had bought it from IKEA. It is the Havsta IKEA stand. The TV unit, I think it is called. We bought it like 3 or 4 years ago when we first moved into like our first apartment together. And when we bought it, we bought the color black, which if I'm being honest, was kind of a mistake, but I was hoping that I could still use this piece of furniture and kind of alter it in some way so I didn't have to buy a new TV stand, because the ones online that are mid-century modern are pretty expensive and I already have a perfectly good TV stand. I just want to modify it a little bit to get it to some place where I actually am in love with it, because right now the black stained wood is not really the vibe that I'm going for in our new place. So when I looked online at IKEA, I found that our TV unit was made of solid pine, so that kind of led me down the rabbit hole of asking the internet, can I stain pine, and learning so much about wood stain and about the different techniques. And I stumbled upon the answer that yes, you can stain pine, but there was a resounding you shouldn't on the internet, because it's pretty hard to stain without blotching or without getting like a consistent color gradient throughout all the wood. So I took that into consideration and I said I didn't really care, and I felt too confident to have that even deter me. So here we are. So then the next step was how I was going to fully transform this piece. So I set up my design list, which was basically everything that I wanted to change about the TV stand that I currently have. The TV unit actually has like a base on it, and I thought that looked very clunky and honestly like very 80s when everything was like on the ground. So I wanted to get rid of that. Luckily, I looked at like the manual before this, and because I couldn't remember how I put it together, and the bottom base just basically comes off. So perfect. I definitely wanted to sand off the dark paint. It was just too moody and I wanted a different look, as I've already explained. I wanted to stain it with a more orangey brown color. I kind of wanted to paint the knobs a different color. They're kind of like a silvery tone and I wanted a bit more gold tone. And then I wanted to add skinnier legs to kind of lift the unit up off the floor a couple inches, just so that it had some height, because we were going to be losing height from taking off the base, so I wanted to re-add it, but using something that I thought looked good and wasn't directly on the floor. So then I set up my task list. That consisted of taking apart the entire TV stand, sanding it down completely, pre-staining it, staining it, putting a polyurethane finish on it, adding height to the TV stand by screwing in some more modern legs, and then replacing the glass with some rattan material. So with everything basically outlined, I decided to start. So here is the footage of me going to Lowe's and getting all of the stuff, all of the staining materials and a respirator, which is very important, and some extra sandpaper. So when I got back to my house, I was eager to start, but I wanted to do a test strip just to make sure that my vision of what the stain looked like actually came out, looking the way that I wanted it to. So I sanded a small area down and I added pre-stain and the actual stain. And I did this all according to the instructions on the back of the can. So once that had dried and I could see kind of the final color of it, I knew that the poly still had to go on. I didn't want to waste poly by putting it on. But it was going to be a similar color to it, and I was very happy with it. I was very excited. I disassembled the rest of the TV, and then I started the long process of sanding down all of the boards. There might have been an easier way to do this. I have no idea, but I don't know what would have been easier without buying another tool, and I thought that, okay, what my dad has in his garage is what I gotta work with. So I used just sandpaper to get rid of all of the dark paint. I think it took me like 2 days to finish the sanding. I think the first day I worked on it for like 6 hours, which was pretty brutal in the summer heat, but I finished it off the next day. I think it took around like 2 to 4 hours, and I was happy with it, but I was just covered in dust. I was really grateful that I use like preventative measures like wearing a respirator and goggles so that it doesn't harm my body in the future and that I can have healthy lungs for a very long time. So the next couple of clips you will see me staining, pre-staining, staining, putting the poly finish on. I think I talk a little bit about what I am doing, so please enjoy these next clips. So yesterday I sanded all but 4 boards. There's a board behind me. I still need to sand 2 of the doors. They have glass. I kind of want to replace them with some rattan coverings that are stained. And then I also have 2 boards that act as kind of like bracing for the back that I need to. But these are all sanded and ready to go. And so I'm going to prime and then stain them. Okay, primer has been applied and it's been 15 minutes, so now I'm going to start the stain. So the thing that was on back order was the rattan material. I don't know why it was on back order for so long. Like I bought it like 2 months after I started this project. So if it was July, August, September. So like I bought it in September and I have been waiting October, November since then to get this rattan. And they just emailed me and said, we're sorry, it's on back order. Would you like to cancel this and get your refund or whatever? Because we're not going to be able to like fulfill it within the time frame. Like I bought it and I knew that it was going to take a while, but not 2 months. So I canceled it and I went with a different supplier. So that is supposed to be here tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow when I install the rattan and finish off my TV stand. Hello, the rattan material has finally come in. I am going to be covering this glass behind me on these doors. I had thought about taking the glass doors out and just having the rattan material, but it was going to be too difficult and kind of a safety issue to do that. So instead, I am going to attach it and adhere it straight onto the glass with some hot glue. The main reason that I'm doing this is that I am unsure if I will like this rattan material, and I'm gonna do hot glue so it's not as permanent because I can really take it off because it's just adhered by glue, so it would be easy to remove if I really don't like it. And I know if I do like it, then it will stay. It's kind of a, I don't know, I guess a cheesy DIY using hot glue, but I'm fine with it. So I do need to cut it down to the correct sizes. So I'm going to measure and do that now, and then I will glue it on. Also, another reason to keep the glass is that dust particles aren't going to get inside of the TV unit because it'll have a thick barrier, versus if I had just had this, then definitely dust would be getting inside. So that's another plus of keeping both of them. I have finally installed the rattan coverings. I like them a lot. I knew it was going to be kind of rough DIY because I was doing it with a glue gun. So it is a little rough around like the edges here, and it does bubble a bit, if you can see that. I could definitely glue along like the middle part here, but it honestly doesn't bother me too much. I think it is very effective. I'm happy with it, which is great. I think from afar it looks awesome, and I'm glad that I kept the glass because yeah, it's just gonna help with like dust control and everything like that. And it does cover all the shit that was in this cabinet, which was my like #1 goal, because I hated seeing all of our electronics and stuff that we have. Now all of our gaming stuff is good to be covered up. So yeah, I'm happy with it. It took so long and now it's finally done. I guess just a few closing remarks about this project. Would I choose to do this again, knowing how much time and energy it took to do this? I'm not sure. Sanding was very, very rough. It took a very long time. Physically, my hands hurt afterwards, so that wasn't too fun on that end. Staining was very fun on the other end of the spectrum. I think it looks really good. Again, you can definitely tell that there's some gradient difference. I'm completely fine with that. I know some people will not like that, and I get that this gradient means that, you know, it's not of the highest quality, and I'm fine with that. I just wanted to redo our IKEA pine TV stand, and I feel like I have transformed it into something awesome. As you can see, I put these metal feet on the stand to lift it up a bit. It's super nice. I think it just makes it look more mid-century modern, which again is what I was going with, and I'm super happy that I finally got it there and got it to like the final phase, you know, what I was thinking of, what I was envisioning, and I finally like made that a reality, which is awesome. And whatever project you do, to finally see it come to life. But yeah, I ended up not doing the rough and buff. Honestly, when I stained it and then I added the knobs back on, they looked better. I think it was just like the dark wood drawing out a different tone than I actually wanted. So glad to have that. Now I don't have to buy anything else, and it's just, I don't have to modify it at all, which is really nice. But yeah, going back to would I do this again? Yeah, probably I would, because I love a bit of a challenge and a bit of a DIY. I think it's really fun. Knowing how well it turned out and knowing how happy I am, of course, I do think it was worth it. But I think I'm not gonna do a DIY for a very long time now because this took so long. So I had a really fun time remodeling this IKEA Havsta TV unit. Thank you for coming along and joining me on this journey from literally July to November. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.